Good afternoon, my name's Dave and welcome to the Woodshed. Today we are going to be looking at a couple of examples of rolling triplet patterns. The first example uses slurring, which is hammer-ons and pull-offs, and the second example uses alternate picking. Alright, let's take a look at the first example. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play each example a couple of times in real time, and then I'm going to slow it down and break everything down for you and explain what I'm doing one note at a time. All right, first example, slurring. Okay, here's that same thing one more time at tempo. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm using a 3 notes per string pattern in G major. And when you hammer on and pull off, you only pick the first note on the string typically. Sometimes you might pick additional notes just depending on how many notes you're playing on a string or what the rhythmic pattern is. But in this case, I'm mostly just picking the first note on each string and then hammering on and pulling off everything else. All right, so we're going to start at the 3rd fret with the index finger. And here's how it goes. 6th string, 3rd fret, so 6th string, 3, 5, 7, 5th string, 3, 5, 7, 4th string, 4, 5, 7, okay, and then we have a turnaround pattern on the 3rd string, 4, 5, 4, 7, 5, 4, so we hammer on and then pull off back to the 4th fret using the turnaround pattern, and then 7, 5, 4 on the 4th string. Okay, so here that is again, 6th string, 3, 5, 7, 5th string, 3, 5, 7, 4th string, 4, 5, 7, 3rd string, 4, 5, 4, 7, 5, 4, then we go back to the 4th string, 7, 5, 4. Now we're going to shift the index finger up 1 fret to the 5th fret and continue. 5, 7, 9, 3rd string, 5, 7, 9, 2nd string, 7, 8, 10. Then we have our little turnaround pattern again on the 1st string. 7, 8, 7, 10, 8, 7. Continue to the 2nd string, 10, 8, 7. 3rd string, 9, 7, 5. 4th string, 9, 7, 5. Index finger shift to the 4th fret. 4, 5, 7, 3rd string, 4, 5, 4, 7, 5, 4. There's our turnaround pattern again. 4th string, 7, 5, 4. 5th string, 7, 5, 3. 6th string, 7, 5, 3. Slide down to 2. And then we end with a power chord. Okay, here's the entire pattern again one more time at tempo. And what happens on the 3rd string and the 1st string, this little pattern, I call this a turnaround, which has a different meaning in this case than it does like in a jazz context. If you hear someone talk about a turnaround in a jazz context, that's something else entirely. I'm just talking about the mechanics of switching directions on a single string with hammer-ons and pull-offs, or in any other musical sense, just switching musical directions. That's what I'm referring to in this case. So that's the turnaround part of the pattern. And you can take that and you can use it in all kinds of other contexts. I can take just the middle part of this. And I can turn that into its own lick if I want to. If anybody asks, maybe I'll do a video about that little sequence some other time. But for the time being, again, here's the whole slurring pattern one more time. All right, so let's move on to the second example, which is a rolling triplet pattern using alternate picking. And this is going to sound fairly similar. This one, though, because it has more notes in each segment, I'm only going to demonstrate it in the ascending direction. If I did it in both directions, it would take a really long time. It would probably take another 10 minutes worth of video. So I'm just going to play it in an ascending direction. So again, it's an alternate picking pattern using rolling triplets. Okay, let me demonstrate this. Okay, one more time. Okay, now, one of the things I want to point out before I get into the bits and pieces of this pattern is there's nothing that says that you can't play slurring patterns using alternate picking or vice versa, play alternate picking patterns using slurring. Most musical figures you can use a variety of techniques and you can get a variety of sounds depending on the approach that you take technically. So there's no reason that we couldn't play the first pattern using alternate picking and the second pattern using slurring. And at the end of the video, I'll demonstrate how you can, switch back and forth between the two techniques. But for the time being, we're keeping those two techniques separate and thinking of them separately. Okay, here is the whole alternate picking pattern broken down one note at a time. Again, we're going to start on the 6th string 3rd fret with the index finger. And again, we are consistently alternate picking throughout. One of the things I notice with a lot of my beginner students is they have a tendency to fall into a habit of doing 2 or 3 upstrokes and then 2 or 3 downstrokes in a row. For faster playing, that simply doesn't work. So make absolutely sure that you're alternate picking the entire time. Okay, the first note is 3rd fret, 6th string. So 6th string, 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th fret. Then we go to the 4th string, 3rd, 5th, 3rd, 7th, 5th, 3rd. Then we go back to the 6th string, 7, 5, 7. So notice even with the alternate picking, we're using our little turnaround from earlier. Okay, so there's the first section. 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 3, 7, 5, 3, 7, 5, 7. So I can play that segment repeatedly. I tend to think of those repeatable segments as cells. And, each cell is a segment of a larger sequence. Or sometimes it might just be a thing on its own. It might just be a repeatable pattern that you play on its own. So I think of cells as either patterns that you can loop or patterns that you can turn into a longer sequence. And sequence just means a musical figure that you transpose up or down through the scale. Okay, so here it is again. 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 3, 7, 5, 3, 7, 5, 3. Notice when I'm changing strings. Okay, now I'm going to start on the 5th string, and I'm going to play on the 5th and the 4th strings. 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, 4, 5, 4, 7, 5, 4, 7, 5, 7. Okay, then I move on to the 4th string. 4, 5, 7, 3rd string, 4, 5, 4, 7, 5, 4, 4th string, 7, 5, 7. Then I move to the 3rd string, 4, 5, 7. 2nd string, 5, 7, 5, 8, 7, 5. Back to the 3rd string, 7, 5, 7. Move on to the 2nd string, 5, 7, 8. 1st string, 5, 7, 5. 8, 7, 5, back to the 2nd string, 8, 7, 8. Okay, and then we're going to do a position shift and move the index finger up to the 7th fret. 7, 8, 10. Back to the 1st string, 7, 8, 7. And then the high D at the 10th fret. Give it a vibrato if you want to. A pinky finger vibrato is fairly difficult. Notice I'm not using the pinky all by itself to do a pinky finger vibrato because I find that to be painful and not particularly effective. So when I do a pinky finger vibrato, I typically use the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers all at the same time. The index finger, you'll notice, is hovering close, but it's not actually in contact with the string. So I have my 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers all doing the vibrato at the 10th fret, and I'm using the 2nd and 3rd fingers to reinforce the pinky. That way I get a more effective vibrato. Okay, here's that entire pattern one more time at tempo. Okay, and I can play that same pattern using slurring, hammer-ons, and pull-offs. So let me demonstrate what that sounds like using hammer-ons and pull-offs. It's a little less percussive, it's a little more fluid. So this is an either-or kind of situation. Okay, you do that one more time with the microphone muted so you don't hear the extraneous string noise. Okay, and we can also take the earlier slurring pattern and we can play that using alternate picking. So again, it's an either-or scenario. Here's what that would sound like using alternate picking. That wasn't quite as smooth. Let's try that one more time. And notice that pattern, even when I'm alternate picking it, it doesn't sound as percussive as the other pattern because I'm moving from one string to the next. It sounds much more fluid. I would use that as an example that alternate picking doesn't always have to sound percussive. It can sometimes sound just as smooth and connected as slurring. So it's kind of a either-or situation, you know, where picking can sound smooth and connected. And if you want to, you can make slurring sound percussive. So check this out. If I apply palm muting when I'm slurring that same pattern, I can make it sound just as percussive as if I was picking it. Okay, so that was all slurring, but I was palm muting heavily, so it sounds almost as percussive as if I was alternate picking it. All right, excellent. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Hopefully there will be more to come. If you liked it, please click like and hit the subscribe button, and I will also put a PDF download of tablature for these two exercises in the description section underneath the video. Thanks for watching, and have a good afternoon.